What the heck? This is so weird. Hi, team. I hope this is working. Can you just pop it in the comments if this is working? I'm just having some internet issues at the place where I'm staying. It says can't start live video. The broadcast has already ended, but it says I'm live. So I'm not sure if I'm live or not. So I'm just assuming that I am. All right, I can see someone's jumped on. I hope you're doing awesome. In this video, I'm sharing how I made over $10,000 in 4 days without using events and without using any sales calls. So I apologize that I'm on my phone. My laptop isn't connecting for some reason. It connected all day and now it's decided not to. So I apologize, it's a little bit shaky. So great to have you here. So in this video, I want to share with you how I did it. I'm going to give you a 5-step framework and I'm going to really lay out the steps that I took. And the reason I decided to share a little bit behind the scenes is because a lot of people, a lot of business owners that I speak to, coaches, experts, consultants, any service-based businesses, business owners looking to get more clients, there are 3 main problems. The first one is that when it comes to generating cash flow, the first one is if you can't attract leads, then you end up with an audience where people aren't engaging and hardly anyone's paying attention. The second problem is if you can't convert leads into clients, then you end up with no sales, right? You end up with no cash flow or small cash flow, which means small fun. The smaller the cash flow, the smaller the fun. And the third thing is if you can't get clients in a leveraged way, in a way that's easy for you and doesn't lead to you burning out and doing things that feel icky, like icky sales techniques, or just burning the candle at both ends. You want to be able to do this in a leverage way, meaning it doesn't take up so much of your time, energy, and resources. So for me, it was just a couple of emails and a couple of posts. But there are some things that you need to do before you put this strategy in place. First of all, it's not for everybody. It's for people, actually it's for, you need 3 things. So if you want to have a system that's reliable and consistent, you need 3 things. First of all, you need to have an offer that people want. So you need to be able to get results for people. It's not going to work. This system is not going to work if you don't know how to get results for people. Secondly, you need to have an audience. Now, it can be a small audience. It doesn't need to be a big audience, but you do need to have an audience. And it's really easy to get an audience. There's multiple ways that you can get an audience. That's a whole different topic, but you do need an audience. You also need to be willing to give before you get. You need to be willing to give. And so part of the reason that this worked so well for me, it was an experiment. I gave it a crack and it worked really well to make 5 figures in just a few days, is because I've given, and that's part of the strategy. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. So it's not for everyone, but if you are willing to do those 3 things, this is going to really help you out. There's a saying in marketing that says, bump the tree and the ripe fruit fall off. Bump the tree and the ripe fruit fall off. Not ripe fruit. And so this is what this strategy is all about. So I used to really struggle to believe that it was actually possible to do this without having to do a whole heap of sales calls. And I love doing sales calls. I love talking to people. I love helping people. I view sales calls as helping them find a solution. And if it's not me, then I'll help them find another solution. But I find sales calls are just like coaching. So I love them. But my calendar's full, like completely full now in terms of one-on-one clients. So I wanted something where I didn't need to do sales calls, something that was leveraged. So if you don't love sales calls or you struggle to convert people on sales calls, this is an alternative. But you may need to get on some sales calls depending on the response. But you can do that however you like. I know some of you are at a point in your business that you just can't fit in those sales calls. So you may want to do some what we call triage calls, which are like 15-minute calls, or you may just want to invite certain people to come into a 45-minute strategy session. You can be creative and do it as you want. This is what I like about this framework, is you can really do it in a way that feels good to you and in a way that feels aligned to who you are as a person. So I wanted something that was really elegant and really compelling, and something that was very simple as well, which is what the system is. So it's a framework, it's 5 steps. I just reverse engineered what I did, and that's what I want to share with you. So it's a 5-step framework, really simple. And one of my mentors, Taki Moore, he says you can do hard work, or you can do guesswork, or you can do framework. So hard work or guesswork is the harder way. Once you've got a framework, it's easier. So if you hey Tessa, hey Perry, hey Donna, hey Sarah, if you are wanting to not do so much guesswork and hard work, you're in the right place. Just drop in a Y for yes if you want a system that you can rely on consistently to get clients. Drop a Y for yes in the chat box, in the comments box. I just want to know that you're in the right place, and I want to share this with people who have those things in place that can get results with people that do have an audience already, even if it's small, and are willing to take action and give value first. Yeah, we're getting yeses come through. Nice. So I'm about to dive into the plan. Team, let's have some fun. By the way, it's really great to see you guys here. Could you just put a hashtag live in the comments below? Hey Lisa, just put a hashtag live, those of you who are here live. If you're on the replay, could you just put a hashtag replay into the comments right now? I just want to know who's live and who's watching the replay. I appreciate that, team. It also really helps with notifying other people that this could really help. So let's dive into how I made over 10K in 4 days without any sales calls. Okay, number 1. The first thing we need to do, if you've got a pen and paper there, take some notes. Hey Sarah, good to have you here. So number 1 is you've got to give value consistently. If you've been to any of my lives before, you know that I talk about this a lot, about giving value consistently, not just one-off, not just when you feel like it, not just when you're inspired, but consistently. I was really hesitant to commit to doing a Facebook Live on the same day every week in the same time about 3 years ago, because I thought, well, what if I'm busy? What if I want to go out that night? What if something comes up? What if I don't feel like it? And you know what? I think I've missed 2 in 3 years, and I love it because I love showing up. I love presenting. I love talking to you guys, and it's one of my favorite things to do. And Wednesday is one of my favorite days because I get to jump on and do this. It's a joy. It's an absolute joy. And I've done the same with my inner circle group. So I have the inner circle group every Wednesday before this Facebook Live. And in the inner circle group, I share a lot of the how and the details. And in this Facebook Live, I share a lot of what you need to do. But obviously, for the sake of time, I can't go into all of the details of the how, but I give you like the high level. And so when I decided to commit, it's amazing. It just becomes like autopilot. Like, think about a habit that you have at the moment, like going to the gym or meditating or cooking for your family. It becomes like that. It's just in your diary, and you just make it work. And like, I'm house sitting at the moment, and you just make it work. Wi-Fi's not working on my laptop, jump on the phone. You know, you just find ways around it, and to make sure that you're very consistent. There's a system that I have. It's got multiple checklists where me and my team, we work through that systematically every week. So it is consistent, so that I can always be getting emails out to my email list. By the way, if you're not in my email list, please reach out and let me know so I can add you, because I send a lot of value on email. Otherwise, this strategy would not work, right? So you've got to give value. You've got to ask before you... Sorry, you got to give before you ask. Give before you ask. And that's got to be consistent. There's a proverb that says, tend an orchard and you'll always have fruit to eat. It's a proverb, tend an orchard and you'll always have fruit to eat. So we want to keep giving value to our audience, and make sure that when you're giving value, you are shifting beliefs, you are helping people get inspired, you are helping people want to take action, you are giving really tangible, helpful tips, and you are also getting to know your audience. So I draw a lot of the inspiration from my content from my clients. And so at the end of my coaching sessions, I write down some content that I could create based on what they've said. So that's where I draw the ideas from. So if you're stuck on being consistent, with giving value, I recommend that you go back to your coaching notes or go back to your, really studying your ideal client and giving them exactly what they want. Super important. If you don't get this right, the strategy is not going to work. All right, number 2. Are we good, team? Is everybody good? I'm just kind of forgetting that I'm not on Zoom and that you can't kind of give me a thumbs up. So you're going to need to use the comments. Perry says, yes, I need to be consistent. Sarah says, me too. Yeah, for sure. Hey, Danette. Hey, Trish. Number 2. Number 2 is qualify your audience. So if you think about it, your prospects can either be cold or warm or hot. So think about your audience right now and all the people in your email list and in your Facebook group and your followers, maybe on Instagram or LinkedIn. Are they warm or hot? Probably a low percentage, right? So we want to warm up the audience. We want to find out who in the audience is already warm. And so we want to make sure that when you put out an offer, you're putting it out to warm or hot people, which means that people don't get to see the price point and everything that's included unless they're warm or hot. So I don't send out an offer and say, hey, click here and here's the offer. I get people to raise their hand first because this is qualifying the audience. Are you the kind of person that's willing to take action? Do you want this specific result? If yes, reply this word, and then I get to choose whether I even send them the offer, because I don't want to send it to someone that's not going to be the right fit for. So that is a qualifying process. It's a step that you add to make sure that you are only sending your invitation to the people that you really want to work with. Because, for example, everybody who joined this offer that I did, it was called the Intensive, and it was a 30-day program. I decided to do a 30-day. It's a bit of an experiment. So when you're extending your invitation, you want to think about what's something a little bit new. Maybe you've been promoting the same thing over and over for quite a while and people get a bit bored with it. So I've had my program for, I don't know, many, many years, the same program, the Client Attraction Accelerator. I sell it at the end of workshops, at the end of one-on-one calls, and sometimes I think people just want something fresh and something new, and it doesn't mean you need to create a whole different thing. You just want to tweak it a little bit. So maybe give it a different name, give it a different time frame. So for me, it's everything that I teach in the Client Attraction Accelerator roadmap, but I put it into a 30-day intensive. So people that want a 30-day really intensive program. And so you're just kind of tweaking that. So you want to create curiosity and intrigue with your initial social media post or email when you're inviting them to this new offer that you're doing. And so you want to make sure that people don't get to see the offer unless they request it. So the way I did it was I sent an email on the Monday and I put up a social post on the Monday and I put up a story. So 3 different things, exact same wording pretty much, except on the email I said hit reply with this one word, and on socials I said DM me with this one word. So that was the strategy. Then I did the same thing on Thursday. So literally Monday did the 3 things, Thursday did the 3 things, and that was it. It was literally like that small, and that was the invitation. And this way, sorry, I'm diving ahead a little bit of myself, but basically we're creating a red velvet rope policy with this qualifying your audience piece. We want to make sure that we're not sending it to every single person. We're only sending it to the people that we actually want to work with. So think of like a nightclub where you're the bouncer and you have a red velvet rope and you only let certain people in. There are certain people that came back and said, I'm keen, and I actually didn't send them the offer because I knew it wasn't the right fit. A bonus that I gave as part of the program was an invitation for them to come into my group for 30 days, which is a high level, high touch mastermind. And I only want that group to be a certain level and a certain caliber, because otherwise that can really affect the whole group. So just because someone wants to work with you doesn't mean that they get every single bonus. You can have multiple offers and you can send different people to other product offerings, because you probably have different things that you can offer to different people, and so you can send them off wherever you like from that point. Perry knows, how do I know if they're qualified? You get to choose. So you're the CEO of your business. Is it someone that you'd want to work with? And they can fill out a questionnaire, or you can ask them questions. Hey, thank you for showing your interest. I'd love to know. For me, I want to know if they're existing business owner or if they're just a startup, because I work with people that have already pretty much know that they can get a result for someone. I want them a little bit further down in the journey. So you can choose those qualifications for yourself, and maybe you have different levels for different types of people that you can send them in. So I actually had a couple of different offerings that I made for different people. Any other questions, just pop them in the comments there. Hey Butter, good to have you here. Hey Anna, good to have you here. Number 3, are we good, team? Everybody tracking? Number 3 is to create an irrefusable offer. An irrefusable offer is something that people can't refuse. And so I did a whole training on this. I think it was last week. It's still in the group, and if you want that, I do a whole training on the 7 elements that go into an irrefusable offer, and also the 4 questions that you need to ask yourself. So go back to that training and watch that if you haven't already. And I just want to point out some of the most important ones when you're doing a new offer. So the first thing that it really needs is a promise. It needs a program promise. You need to install the belief that your offer is exactly what they need, and you do that with a specific program promise. And we do this also by overcoming all the resistance that they might have in your offer. So everybody who replied yes, I sent them over to a Google Drive document, and it wasn't fancy. It was just a Google Drive document, and it had lots of pages, and it had all of the frequently asked questions that they could possibly have. So I'm lowering all the resistance because I know where people get unstuck. And so I answered all of their questions, and that makes it a no-brainer. It was worded in a way that removed all the risk as well. So it had a guarantee, it had a clear and definite outcome, it had a time frame, it had numbers, and it was for one type of person. It was for one specific problem and one solution. So that's an important part of it. Otherwise people get confused and overwhelmed and they don't buy. It also had scarcity. So because I decided to do it one-on-one, my one-on-one time is very limited, and since then I'm full. So it completely filled me up. It made me fully booked one-on-one. So you've got to have that scarcity. And what I did is actually opened up a waiting list. And so once I filled the 5, so it was 5 spots. Once I filled the 5, people moved into the next month because it was a 30-day program. So some people needed to wait until the following month. And another thing that was important was there were juicy bonuses. And I talk about this in the offer training where I included membership to my inner circle for 30 days, which is a super valuable bonus. It's super valuable. So they get VIP events, they get immersion events, they get implementation days, sessions, and they get access to the Facebook group where they can ask all their questions for 30 days, and I jump in there and answer them personally. Plus they get the benefit of everybody in the group, and it's an amazing group. It's got 38 members, and they are amazing women. So number 4, extend a simple invitation. So I've talked about this already. Just extend a simple invitation, but it has to have that clear outcome, and it needs to be specific. So for me, like I said, 2 emails, 2 posts, 2 stories. That's all it was, and just a little bit of text, but it had the right elements in it. And people started coming out of the woodwork. One lady, Emma, she's been on my list over 7 years. Over 7 years, she's been on my email list. She got on my email list when I was coaching for fitness and training figure competitors and fitness models. She's been on my list all this time. Now she's got her own very successful business, and she just said, now's the time, Kat. And other people that I'd worked with in the past that I haven't seen for ages, they come out the woodwork. So it's, again, just bumping the tree, and the right fruit comes when because it's such a great offer. And then number 5, give amazing value. This is so important that you give amazing value. Then you get referrals, testimonials, and then they want to keep working with you if they have had great value. So my results from that just little message I sent out, 36 people responded. So the people that didn't sign up, I can follow them up. 11 people said yes. Like I said, I had to extend people out into the future, and make sure that you create an onboarding system to keep track of everybody. Make sure that you've sent your terms and agreements, your questionnaires, all of that stuff. That's really important. And then you can rinse and repeat it. So you can do this every quarter or every 2 months or whenever you want to do it. So value, 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 value. Again, you go back up to the top, you give that value, and then you make that offer again. So that's the 5-step framework. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into getting it. And if you want the templates and everything that I needed, that's part of everything that you need to make this work for you. There are a lot of pieces involved. It's simple, but you have to have done the other pieces, and that's what I help my clients with. And so it's part of the client attraction roadmap, where I help coaches and experts get to 10K or more per month. And even though it's simple, it's not easy. Every element needs to be in place for it to work. And once you get those elements in place, you start getting that consistency in your clients. You can rely on it, and it's very predictable. And I just thought it was so cool to make 10 grand without any sales calls, and just from a little bit of writing. Now, obviously I've done the groundwork, but it's super simple and really exciting. So if you want to know how to do each step, and if you want the templates and everything, that is part of the Client Attraction Accelerator program. I'm fully booked with one-on-one at the moment, but I have an amazing group program. So if you're interested in working together to get clients fast and consistently, people make their money back really fast working with me, because it's all about what is the most direct line from you now to your next paying client, so that you can make the money back. So just DM me the word clients if you're interested in that. I hope this has been really useful for you today, and please reach out if you've got any questions, or just pop them in the comments if you've got any questions about, obviously for the sake of time I couldn't cover every single part of it, but it's given you an overview, a high level strategy. But if you've got questions, please DM me. And thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for being here. Big love. Bye for now.